In this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with Ian to talk all about Widget Ridge, a steampunk deck building game. I'm excited about that. Then we'll dive into Kickstarter Corner, but first, a word about our sponsors. This episode is powered by The Great Nameless, a game of divine might and cosmic horror. Sibling gods declare war on each other while their mindless progenitor threatens to destroy all of creation. It's for 1 to 4 players, and in case you missed it, catch our interview with Josh in their update entitled The Great Nameless, featured on podcast Getting Geeky with Game Relief. It'll be on Kickstarter through Sunday, the 31st of March. This episode is powered by the Character Casket. It's a coffin that holds and includes all of your essentials to be a player in a session of D&D. They're almost halfway to their goal and will be on Kickstarter until Monday the 15th of April. This episode is powered by Overbattle, the All War, and will be on there through Saturday the 20th of April. More to be said about it on Kickstarter Corner. This episode is also proudly being powered by Solar Flare Games. Robotech Crisis Point game has entered production and can now be pre-ordered, with some extra pre-order limited edition Robotech items as well as exclusives. If you haven't heard it yet, go back and listen to my episode entitled Robotech Crisis Point to find out more and pre-order it before they run out.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
One day, over 100 years ago, a steamship carrying mining engineers from England to Australia fell through a portal and crashed into a volcano. For the survivors, this was something of an inconvenience. They could not go back, so being miners, they drilled large holes into the side of the volcano, using this energy to build wondrous devices. A large city was built in the side of that volcano, and they named the city Widget Ridge, because they built widgets, and there was a ridge nearby. Now is the time of the engineer, complete with rival inventors to create insane inventions, explore the marketplace of ideas for parts, and connect them together. A wind-up battle corset with a built-in Faraday cage, a solar-powered mechanical bison with a parachute. Create new and exciting abilities. Improve and reinvent.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me either, but this is a story of Widget Ridge, and today we're lucky enough to have on the creator and mastermind behind it, or designer. Ian, is that correct, Ian? Is that how you fall in line with Widget Ridge?
That is correct. I'm the lead designer for the game.
Awesome, thank you. And by the time you guys are listening to it, it has or will be going live momentarily shortly on Kickstarter. But before we jump into Widget Ridge, let's rewind a little bit if we could. How did you get into playing tabletop board games, Ian?
It was a while ago, actually, back in Australia. I moved here when I was 25, so when I was 15, a friend introduced me to Car Wars from Steve Jackson Games, and I really loved the customization aspect of it.
Okay, awesome.
Where you're sort of building a car, and later on, I sort of got that same feeling from playing collectible card games like Magic and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I got my start with that sort of thing.
Okay, awesome. And been collecting and playing games ever since?
Yeah, I've actually been a Magic judge for 24 years, more than half my life. That's been a big part of my life, but I don't really play that often. I really just run events.
Awesome. So what does that mean? Like, I've talked to people who play Magic. What's a Magic judge? What's that entail?
Well, we run the tournament, so ideally we answer the rules questions, but mostly we're there, as we say, herding cats through turnstiles. We're just there to make sure that the pairings go up in a timely fashion. People get started playing their matches on time, and we're sort of greasing the wheels of the tournament. Like a 6-round tournament should take about 6 hours, that sort of thing. So we're really just there to facilitate a good, fun tournament and answer any rules questions or disputes that come up.
Okay, and so do they do that kind of like I don't know if you're familiar with basketball, but is that kind of like the Final Four in the March Madness and stuff, or how does the tournament look?
Well, no, a tournament it's just usually a tournament at the local level is just an open event where players show up. Maybe 20 or 30 players show up at a store, and they get paired against each other for a number of rounds. So they get at least one undefeated player, and usually the top 8 players, and they'll play off in an elimination bracket. That's usually how a tournament runs. Sometimes they run things differently, but for the most part, that's what you can expect from a tournament.
Okay, awesome. And do they have to pay to play, or how does that work? Besides the collectible cards, at least. I mean.
Yeah, generally you pay. I mean, I would say average for a small event is about $10, $5, and that money usually goes into the prize pool. So, like 2 packs per player, for example, and then the winner gets most of that. The runner-up gets some of that. It depends on the nature of the tournament. Sometimes they do a top-heavy prize structure. If you're new to tournaments, if you haven't played one before, pre-releases, Magic pre-releases are a good deal because they're more casual events and their prizes are spread out pretty well.
Okay, you said you don't really play. You're more of a judge than anything with that.
Yeah, I just don't have time to play much anymore. I play a little bit, but mostly I've been, like I say, I'm very experienced at this. So I'll get a store saying, "Hey, can you run my tournament next week?" And I'll just go over there and run it. It requires no preparation beforehand, nothing afterwards. I don't have to build a deck. I don't have to test with my friends. I just turn up, just do my thing, and go. So it requires very little effort from me.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Now, something that does require effort is designing games, or am I wrong there?
Well, there's definitely requires effort. I think creatively, I do pretty well. I've got a lot of good ideas, and I managed to get them down and execute them fairly well. But when you design a game, especially a card game, you have to write out the cards or find some way of doing that, and then test. And usually, the first couple of tries, you find that because the engine kind of works, but these cards are all terrible. We got to redo everything. And sometimes the first time you sit down with someone, you're just scooping up the game halfway through and saying, "Hey, we're done here. I've got to get back to the drawing board and redesign some of this stuff." So that's the difficult part because you got to get off your bum and just do that. And a lot of people just can't get over that. It's a lot of my friends are like, I've thought about designing a game and I got one in my head, but I just don't want to deal with all the stuff. And that's the tricky part.
Oh boy, yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, I've had some ideas, but nothing that I've come to the table with. But yeah, so I hear you there. Now it sounds like us on a completely different realm of Magic, the collectible card game, is you recently designed a deck building game. Widget Ridge is almost on Kickstarter. What can you tell us about Widget Ridge?
It is a deck building game. It sort of has a lineage from Dominion, being that Ascension was sort of a homebrewed version of Dominion with alternate rules, and that was designed by a couple of friends of mine, Justin Gary and Rob Doherty. And Rob Doherty wanted to start White Wizard Games and make Star Realms, Hero Realms. And I worked for Rob Doherty for a couple of years on those games. And then I went and started my own company. So Widget Ridge sort of has this has a grand lineage there, which I'm quite proud of. Um, what I try and bring to the table is something a little more innovative in that you can connect the cards together. It's a steampunk game, and you can connect the cards together to make large inventions that are just like insane. And that's something that deck building games haven't done before.
That sounds pretty cool. I'm really big into. I like White Wizard games. I love Star Realms. Actually, my wife got me the latest expansion, or I think it's an expansion as well as you can play it alone. She got that for me for Christmas. So yeah, I'm a big Star Realms fan.
Yeah, Frontiers, I think that's the last product I worked on there.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But this sounds a little bit different. You said you build the steampunk. What is it like ships and different things, or what are you building?
Well, you're building inventions, so you get sort of a device, an accessory, and an augment. They're three different invention types, and you can put those together, and that'll form a larger invention. You get a connection bonus for connecting them together, and then once you have what's called a full construct, it'll have a name that reads left to right, like like a wood burning battle corset with cooling vents, or a coal powered brick launcher with a parachute, and stuff that doesn't even make sense. And then it'll at the bottom it'll have a power that also reads left to right across all 3 cards. Like you can discard a card if you do gain 10 spark, which is the way we keep score, or do something else. And there's like I think there's almost 1,000 combinations in the basic game alone of things you can make.
Okay, interesting. So, per se, me and you sat down to play Widget Ridge. What's my turn gonna look like?
Turn is well, it's a typical deck building game where your deck is yeah, basically terrible, and you have to buy cards from the middle row to make it better. But as your game progresses, you'll play cards. The starting cards really don't stick around. But if you play an invention, you can put that in a zone called your workshop. Your workshop can have one each of an augment, device, and accessory, and you can keep those cards there. So when you draw the other cards you need to make a full construct, you can connect those together. So it lets you sort of save there's just basically a zone where you save a card or a set of connected cards, so you can use them later on.
And so, are they similar to like the bases and whatnot in Star Realms? Kind of? Do they have powers and stuff?
No, once they're out, they don't really have powers by themselves in the workshop. So there's no real bases. Unlike Star Realms, you're not actually attacking your opponent, so there's no defense. Um, the basic game is the first player to get to 100 spark wins. And in the game, you generate gold and spark. Gold you use to buy stuff. Spark is where combat would be in Star Realms, but it doesn't go away at the end of your turn. That's essentially your score. And over the course of a game, you'll generate a lot of it. The way we've been playing lately, games take about 10 to 15 minutes because we're playing pretty fast. We know the game pretty well. New players tend to take about 20 minutes. But you generate like just like Star Realms, it ramps up, and after a while, yeah, the first few turns you've got 15 spark, but then suddenly you've got 40, and suddenly you've got 75. Suddenly you're close to victory. So it can get pretty intense.
Okay, and can I stop others from getting spark or take away from other spark?
Yes, you can. We do have some blue shell mechanics, not too many, but one of the problems I had in the early design was if you're winning, you just win, and I wanted to take away from that, so I made sort of strategic um, choices in the design to let players who are behind, but they can buy a particular card that might say if you have the lower spark, you gain 6. Then if you still have the lower spark, you gain 6 more, and it lets them catch up a little bit. There's a few cards that if the person with the highest spark loses 5, that's really more of a multiplayer thing. Um, as the game is compatible with like the base game is 2 players, but if like Star Realms, if you buy more copies, you can add more players, and so that's more of a multiplayer thing.
Okay, so that's how you do it because that says 1 to 2 player. But if you have more decks, you can add more players.
Yeah, the and the 1 to 2 is I wanted to put a solo mode directly in the box, because people seem to like that sort of thing, and it's I've been sort of advocating for that when I was with White Wizard to do like a solo mode, because sometimes people just can't find someone to play in real life, especially a game like Hero Realms, which doesn't have an app yet. So and eventually they sort of design things like that. But I wanted to put just a basic solo mode in the box so people can sort of run through mechanics by themselves, and maybe if they're waiting for a plane or something, they can have a quick game, see if they can see if they can beat the robot or whatever it is.
Okay, so if I'm playing solo, I'm trying to beat the robot to 100 points, or how does that look? The solo mode.
Well, the solo mode is you're trying to get to 100, but he's trying to stop you, but because you can't make decisions for your opponent, the decisions are automatic. So you take the starting deck is all numbered 1 through 10. And so you take the other player's starting deck, you shuffle it up, and then you reveal the top card, and whatever card number it is, you look at you look at another card which has a table on it, and that says it's actually a statue you're fighting. It's an animated statue that they activate once a year on his birthday, and he runs around eating coals. The statue of the founder of Widget Ridge, and but in this story he's gone crazy, and you're trying to stop him. So the statue of Lord Admiral Sir Eustace Covington, and so it'll say something like, "Yeah, Lord Covington is distracted by bees, so he doesn't do anything that turn," or maybe it's Lord Covington throws a chariot at you, so you destroy any constructs you have in your workshop, that sort of thing. So the idea is to get to 100 spark before and he's going to run interference. So after a while, I mean, you'll probably just get there, but you're running out of time because once you finish the first deck, You go to the second deck. Once you finish that, the game is essentially over. So you're sort of racing the clock a little bit.
Oh boy. Well, it sounds fun to me. That's pretty cool. And I really love the lore. Like I was talking to you beforehand, you got to the interview like when I was 30 seconds into your Kickstarter video, but it sounds like an awesome story. What came first, the story or the mechanics?
Well, everything sort of came together. So about a year and a half ago, I was working on I started writing a novel. I'd written a novel about 15 years ago, science fiction. It was a comedy science fiction novel. It was called Spindle, and it kind of parodied, science fiction tropes a little bit. And I wanted to do that for fantasy. So I came up with this idea of that there's a hero that's a very good hero. He runs around with a sword and killing the bad guys, but he keeps getting in trouble because he keeps killing them wrong. As there's a grand prophecy that describes you have to kill these bad guys in a certain way. Like you have to fight him on the highest peak for 7 days and 7 nights, but instead you set him on fire and throw him down a mine shaft. You can't do that. And so he's got to fight this sort of bureaucracy. And to flesh out this world, I decided it would be fun to have a steampunk city in the middle of this fantasy world of swords and dragons and magic. And the people in the steampunk city, their stuff all works because magic is real, but they don't believe magic is real. So they think they're just excellent scientists, and everybody else in the fantasy world, they think these people are just a cult because they just don't believe magic works. They don't believe wizards are real. They don't believe dragons are real, even though they see them clearly. And the people in the steampunk city think everybody else is a cult because everybody else looks like they're in a cult. So I kind of like the juxtaposition of those positions. And when I was ending my time at White Wizard, I was coming up with the idea of possible a science fiction themed game where you connect stuff together. Being by myself, I couldn't really go for a license like Doctor Who or Rick and Morty or something cool like that. So I thought, well, why not just go after my own IP and make it a steampunk game, which I hadn't really seen on the market. I've learned there's a couple of steampunk deck building games on the market now. Like there's one where you build zeppelins, and it's very different than my game. But yeah, it seemed like it was something that hadn't been done before, so I quite like the idea.
Awesome. Yeah, you've got me intrigued. So this novel you worked on, is that available for we could our reading pleasure somewhere?
No, I stopped working on the novel so I could do the game. I
Oh
actually worked
boy.
on it a little bit today, but it was the first time and since oh god, like since Christmas probably since I'd worked on it. So yeah, it's slow going. Once the Kickstarter's in full swing and I can actually take a breather, I'll get back to working on it. But we were considering putting it out as a stretch goal.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that, to tell you the truth. I was going to ask, can that be a stretch goal?
Well, we're probably going to do that for like at least a digital download or something like that. And so we're trying to think, well, when would you get it done by? And I think probably earliest is December this year, I'd say, and then it'll have to go into editing for a month or so. But yeah, I'd say I could probably turn that around in the next few months.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I would wait till then. Yeah, I'm also intrigued by the game. So I'm looking at the pledge levels. Like I said before, it hasn't launched or it's about to launch. So what can you tell me? I got the base game and then I also have the deluxe tier. What's different between the two?
Oh, the deluxe tier. So what we've got is we added some sort of mini expansions. There's one that's called a story pack, which lets you actually play as one of the characters in Widget Ridge. If you're familiar with Hero Realms, they have character packs in that. The story packs give you like you buy one pack and it feeds two players. Um, it'll give you a character that has a specific power, and it's based on one of the stories in the game that's already up on the widgetridge.com website. Um, and it'll change three of the cards in your starting deck. That's why the starting deck is numbered. So the three cards will replace like card 8, card 9, and card 10. So you got a sort of mini customized starting deck as well. And it comes with a couple of extra cards, new card type called locations. Locations are when they come up on the center row, they stay there and modify that space. So anything else that comes up on that row will be modified by it. So it might be like Elizabeth Square. Every invention you buy from this, you gain 1 spark, something like that.
Oh, so does that affect everything in the store or the buying row? Is that what you're saying?
It affects that one space by itself. So a card will you flip over the card and it's a location, and then you say, okay, now this is Elizabeth Square, and it says on the card you now this will modify the space, but you now put cards on top of it. So then you reveal the next card.
Okay, so not the whole row, just whatever cards are on top. Okay, that makes sense.
And so each story pack would come with 2 locations and one gold card. Now the gold cards are the basic win condition is get to 100 spark. Gold cards, if both players agree, they can play with a gold card, which actually modifies the win condition. So the win condition might be get to 88 spark, but if you melt a widget, you lose 3. Or it might be get to 100 spark or 120 spark, but each player gets 1 extra gold at the start of their turns, like something like that. So it keeps the game a little fresh.
Awesome, and it looks like it comes with a play mat as well.
Yeah, that deluxe tier will come with a playmat. We got some really cool pieces of art. I actually, before I started the company, one of the first things I did was commission the original bison picture, and I loved it so much. I very rather stupidly, rather irresponsibly, commissioned a second picture, which is the Velocitron picture, if you can see that, which is a guy flying upside down near a volcano. Um, and because I just love this art so much. And these were going to be my quote unquote playmat pictures, and that's pretty much what they are.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I see those. Yeah, they look pretty cool. I like them. I think it's a great idea. And is there going to be like on the picture? I'm not seeing. Is there play? Is there going to have little spots where I put the different cards, or how's that look?
So we were looking at that, and we did some sort of focus testing with friends who do a lot of gaming, and they said they'd rather not have that. So we'll probably have we'll have like training playmats that we'll use for demos that will have that. But these other pictures, people want to use them for other games that aren't Widget Ridge for some reason. I don't get it either. Um, but yeah, a lot of my friends, yeah, they play Magic and stuff like that, and they like cool playmats and they like this art and they want to use them for Magic, and they probably wouldn't use them if they had a bunch of boxes that didn't have any relevance to the game. So for now, we're doing it without the little squares, and yeah, we'll see what kind of feedback we get. Maybe we offer 2 different versions. But for now, for the Kickstarter, we really don't. I don't think we have the option to have that much variety, and I think people would rather have no squares than squares in general.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's awesome. And so you get the rampaging mechanical bison playmat with the deluxe version, but it looks like there's a couple other ones that you can go ahead and as add-ons. Is that what that is?
Yeah, the rampaging one is that's a special one that it's our first alternate art pictures for Widget Ridge, and that one is actually a triptych. Um, the cards that form that image are all they're going to be our PAX promos when we're going to launch the Kickstarter the day before PAX, then we're going to PAX East, and we'll be giving those out to anyone who pledges. And that yeah that so you take that playmat picture and you chop that up into 3 separate pictures, and it's going to show a solar powered mechanical bison with a parachute, and that's our first promo.
Okay, so it's one of the inventions. So when it comes to the inventions you can make, what has been the strangest one you've seen somebody play?
uh well, they're all pretty nutty. The very first invention I played with my son, and the very first invention was one that he made, and it was a wood burning brick oven with cooling vents. And then he looks at me and he says, "Dad, that's just a normal thing." And I said, "Yeah, all right, give me that." And I crossed out brick oven, I wrote brick launcher, and that made it much more sexier. Um, but yeah, that's the one that sticks in my mind because it wasn't fun at all. It's just a normal thing that you could actually find today in any town. So but the ones that make me laugh are we actually testing the first expansion, and there's an accessory it's called On Stilts, and that's not in the base game, but that'll be available. And the Velocitron, the blue playmat, that's the plane that looks like it shouldn't fly. That's the Velocitron, and that was on stilts. And I don't usually laugh at my own jokes, but that one struck me as pretty funny. Why would you put a plane on stilts? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, interesting. That's pretty cool. Now, when it comes to Widget Ridge, what makes your game pop as when my audience should go check out the Kickstarter and then back it if they like what they see, Ian?
Well, there's a couple of things. I like immersion. It was sort of one of the things I didn't enjoy much about Star Realms is it like you got spaceships, but like who cares? Like where's the story? Where's the world that you've got here? And I actually would write the lore for Star Realms and Hero Realms, and Epic and all those other games. And I thought, well, like look at Magic. It has a story, and a lot of people just don't care about the story. So they don't have to pay attention to it to still enjoy the game. So you can have a story and say this is for the like 8% of people that really like the story, and the other 92% that don't care about it, they don't have to read it. It doesn't actually make a difference. But the 8% will really appreciate that the law that you've come up with. So I like the immersion that I was able to come up with, and working with artists. I'm not an artist myself. I had to direct the artists to do a lot of the stuff in the game, but the direction I gave them was it was sort of very general. Sort of, this is a jam session. I want you guys to have fun. I want it to look like this was fun to draw, and I want to see that joy in the pictures. And the artist like knocked it out of the park almost every time. So the pictures are just fun. It looks like this is a place that you want to go, and a place that you want to sort of immerse yourself in. So I think the art and the immersion. I think we got what I was looking for.
Most definitely. Yeah, it looks like the art and the story. We're big on narratives here in our household. We love stories that go with games.
Yeah, there's a big story with Widget Ridge, and it's I'm sort of I like the way that you have sort of have to tell stories, um, and I like innovative ways that people would tell stories. Like I would actually write the lore for the Star Realms app, and it was like trying to write an epic tale on drinks coasters because you had very little text to work with. And then they were going to play a game of Star Realms that may or may not be relevant to the story, and then you got to go to the next one and say, do people actually care about this? Well, my attitude was if they want to read it, they're going to get a great story. Um, so I quite like the idea that telling a story in innovative ways is something that I can do in this game. So with the story packs, it can be done with the first expansion. I can throw in little story threads here and there, the flavor text, and it's there if you want it. The Easter eggs are great because the people that don't care about them don't even see them, and the ones that see them go yes. And I like that. I like when they do that.
Awesome. Well, you've sold me, so I'll have to talk to my wife. She's big into steampunk, and one of my favorite mechanics is deck building. So, yeah, so I'll have to let her know about it, and we'll see what we can do. Because, yeah, but like I said, you've sold me, and anybody else listening, make sure you go ahead and definitely check out the Kickstarter page, which is either about to go live or is already live. If it's not live by the time you're hearing this, make sure you click on that little icon in the top left hand corner that says notify me upon launch so you can be notified and be able to jump on everything that's great about Widget Ridge. Now, we don't want to keep you all night, Ian, but mine is coming there to your hometown to stalk you. How do people keep up with you?
Well, we're fairly we're on social media. We try and be very prolific on social media. We got the Widget Ridge Facebook page. We got the Furious Tree Games Facebook page, and we have Widget Ridge is listed on Board Game Geek. We have the Widget Ridge Twitter feed is actually done in character from a citizen in the city. So it doesn't actually give you product information, but if you want to look through some of the immersion, check out at Widget Ridge on Twitter. Um, but yeah, otherwise, I'd say mostly Facebook. We're on Instagram. I don't actually run Instagram myself. I think Sean runs that, but yeah. But I'm pretty. I'm on Facebook almost every day.
Okay, awesome. And I know right now we're focused on we want to get Widget Ridge to see the light of day and become a reality. But afterwards, is there anything in the making that might be coming out in the future that you can tell us about?
Well, we wanted to do we've got some mini expansions already in the works. Some of them are part of the Kickstarter. We've got a couple of extra ones that we're looking to do. One with just locations for the game when the game gets a little bigger. Um, and the other thing is that Widget Ridge. I like the idea that this is a cool deck building game, but also I think that there are other games that we could do with this property. And I'm looking at potentially making a different kind of game, like maybe a worker placement game or something like that. I like kind of like the idea of having like different kinds of games in this universe. On top of that, we've got maybe two or three other games in various stages of development, but we haven't made like prototypes or anything yet. We're sort of seeing where this goes because yeah, this project It could make a bunch of money. It could make just enough money. It could make no money. A Kickstarter is a harsh mistress, so you can't really make plans.
Yeah, for sure, most definitely. But yeah, I like the idea of other games in the Ridge universe. I love that. It looks like a pretty cool game. The story.
Yeah, I tell you, my favorite part was getting art from the artists because they would always throw something in a little extra. As a writer, I love retconning stuff. I love when sort of forced to make excuses for something that happened in a piece of art that shouldn't be there, and the artist says, "I can take it out." And I'm like, "No, no, no, I'll write around it. It's fine." I love doing that stuff because if you're working on someone else's property, like I did with White Wizard Games, sometimes you'd say these are the rules of this universe, and then they'd say, "Oh, well, actually, this is now in the game." So I'm like, "All right, I guess I'll write around that." And that was actually you kind of eye roll a little bit, but then you kind of like the challenge, and that made me a better writer having to do that. So I kind of like the challenge and sort of coming up with, why is there like you see on the Widget Ridge logo, there's a clock tower that looks like the Elizabeth Tower, Big Ben in London. And I didn't ask him to do that, but I thought it looked cool. So I was like, all right, well, that's now a thing in the game, and it's a big part of the game now. Um, and I quite enjoy doing that sort of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And so anybody listening, make sure you go ahead and at least check out the Kickstarter page. And if you like what you've heard or what you see on the page and the story and anything, go ahead and back it or share it around so we can definitely get to that. Well, it's not yet listed, but that stretch goal I'm really interested in is the story so we can get the story to our digital inboxes or whatnot.
I'll do my best to get it on there. The Kickstarter, we're launching it on the 27th.
Okay, yeah, so it'll be out or about out by the time you're listening to this. So make sure you're on the lookout for Widget Ridge. And like I said, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us tonight, Ian, to talk all about Widget Ridge.
Oh, mate, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Wow, a steampunk deck builder? That is so cool. Don't you think so? Ian sold me on it. Has he sold you too? If so, go support his campaign. Tell him Game Relief sent you. Shall we see a very small portion of what's on Kickstarter?
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaves computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leaves.
First off, I'm not sure if you've listened to my short 6-minute podcast that I recorded with my youngest daughter that I released late yesterday evening. If not, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to it. She makes it more than tolerable, I'd say cute even. We pretty much tell you about how we're going to release my interview I did with Stephen Bonacore of Stronghold Games, and how if we can get to our $3,500 stretch goal, which we're just over $300 away from, before we hit our 48-hour remaining mark, we'll release that interview to all backers before the general populace. So, if you want to be part of that, go give the episode a listen and check out our Kickstarter that ends on Monday, the 1st of April. Now, you've all played a game. That's just fun and dandy. But an experience would be even better, wouldn't you say? Well, I've got the game for you then. It's Overbattle the All War. I've had many a conversation with Rob, the mastermind of this game. He's been tirelessly going from con to con all over the country, allowing others to join in on the experience. During our interview, he convinced me that I want to experience Overbattle. It's not a typical war game where it takes eons and eons to set it up, but you play right out of the box. It's huge and I want it. But we can't make this a possibility until we get over the mindset that a first-time creator can't make a huge game with a funding goal over $50,000 or at a buy-in of over $100. What would have happened had we done that to Cool Mini or Not or CMON or any of these others? Do me a favor, go check out the page and see what you think. If you're following the campaign, back it. If we all wait on the sidelines waiting to see if it gets to its funding goal, it may not make it. So go back Overbattle and make it a reality. If you're in the Arizona area, PM me so we can get together with Rob and actually experience it with him. If you'll be at PAX East this weekend, Go try it out. Tell him GamerLeaf sent you. Pretty much what I'm saying is, don't wait. Back over battle today.
Have you ever wanted to be a great tinkerer? One who fiddles with the oddities and curiosities of the strangest parts of the Wild West? Well, of course you have. Don't be ridiculous. In the new card game, Area 1851 Express from 524 Labs, the creators of Mintworks, now you can. Ooh, here's a lively gaming session now. Let's watch.
Ooh, I got a feeling I'm gonna be the best gadget today.
It won't be the best. It's just some wool.
Well, you're just plain.
Plain? Well, I'll show you.
So, what have you got, Mr. Tough Mod?
Ha! Diggity! I'm a plain old pitchfork. What do you got, little woolly?
How's a freaking spacesuit treat you?
Oh no, he didn't.
Ooh, yeah, he did.
Well, at least I ain't that guy.
Well, that was uncalled for.
If you're an aspiring, fun-loving tinkerer that's looking to create the greatest gadget in the weird and Wild West, then Area 1851 Express is for you. So go grab some friends, a handful of cards, and play Area 1851 Express, new from 524 Labs.
What on earth was that? Or is it even from Earth? Aliens have landed in the Wild West and are trading technology with the locals. Combining card drafting and set collection, you'll create out-of-this-world gadgets with hilarious modifications, sure to keep everyone laughing. Wow, does this sound like a game I want? It's Area 1851 Express. Area 1851 Express is a 2 to 5 player card drafting and set collection game that plays in about 30 to 45 minutes. Back it on Kickstarter before Friday the 19th of April. And if the cards are aligned right, we'll get the people of 524 Labs on the show to tell us more nearer the end of their campaign, so look out for that. I recently found this one on Kickstarter. It's called The Nomad's Magnetic Dice Tower. Master Monk. I may not do it justice, but I'll do my best. Either way, I definitely recommend going to watch their Kickstarter video so you can better understand what it's all about. Last year, Thinking Monk made Nomad's Armory Adventure Dice Box and Tray, which is a very nice portable rolling tray and dice box to hold your dice in, made of wood and magnets. Very nice wood, may I say. This year they're back with the dice tower that's easily assembled with a few pieces of wood and clicks together with magnets, and then is easily collapsible and fits inside the armory, right alongside your dice box. Man, do I wish we had one of these when I was growing up. It would have made us that much cooler when we were gathered around the sewer lid playing Middle-earth role-playing or MERP as teenagers. Plus, you can pick the wood it's made out of, and they're already past their funding goals, so you know it's going to be a reality. This is the brief description they give on their Kickstarter page. A magnetic dice tower featuring handcrafted inlays and a unique design that works with the Nomad's Armory. So go watch the video and then back the Nomad's Magnetic Dice Tower, Master Monk. That'll be on Kickstarter through Saturday, the 4th of May. Now it's come to our least favorite time and your least favorite time. Time for us to get on with our lives and you to get on with yours. But in the meantime, I hope you'll go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold by sharing this podcast with them and our Kickstarter with them. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to support the show, go ahead and check out our Kickstarter page as well, and if you can, back it even just for $1. Anything helps. But in the meantime, until next time, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. GamerLeaf out.
GamerLeaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if GamerLeaf's luck holds up.